It began at 2 a.m. 5 soldiers dressed in full uniform moved silently through the streets of Lagos. No one knew what was coming. Within hours, Nigeria's Prime Minister was dead. Ifeajuna of Sokoto executed in his bedroom, and the army was in full control. But what pushed them to kill their own leaders? Was it a rescue mission for Nigeria, or the spark that set the country on fire? This is the coup that changed Nigeria forever. You see, at independence in 1960, Nigeria stood tall, Africa's giant, full of promise, 3 major regions, 3 dominant ethnic groups, and one new republic. But behind the celebrations, the cracks were already showing. The north was dominated by the conservative NPC, led by Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto. The east, home to the NCNC and the ambitious Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. The west, hotbed of the AG party and its firebrand leader, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. These men were called the founding fathers, but in truth, they were rivals, fighting for influence, power, and survival. By 1964, elections had become war zones, riggings, intimidation, broken alliances. The center could no longer hold. In the west, chaos reigned. The action group had split. Awolowo was just jailed for treason. Samuel Akintola, once his ally, was now premier. Backed by the NPC, the region exploded in violence. They called it Operation Wetty. Political talks burned opponents alive, police stood aside, and the government, silent as usual. Lagos watched as Nigeria bled from the inside, and in the shadows, young soldiers were watching. Men like Major Kaduna Nzeogwu, educated, disciplined, and furious. To Nzeogwu, the politicians had become parasites, corrupt, ethnic, and dangerous. He wasn't alone. A small circle of young officers, mostly Igbos and some middle belters, began to whisper, what if he took back the country? The plan had begun. It started with whispers in the barracks, whispers of a broken country and a duty to fix it. At the center was Major Patrick Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu. Brilliant, cold, and deeply idealistic. Born in Kaduna, trained in Sandhurst, he didn't speak like a typical officer. His men said he was part soldier, part revolutionary. But Nzeogwu wasn't acting alone. There was Major Emmanuel Ifeajuna, a former gold medal winning athlete and a scholar from the University of Ibadan. There was Captain Chris Anufuru, Major Don Okafor, Lieutenant Adewale Ademoyega, a group of young, mostly Southern officers, educated, frustrated, and angry. Their plan? Not a military takeover, but a total cleansing. They wanted to assassinate Nigeria's most powerful political and military leaders and then hand over power to a new, disciplined civilian government. They called it Operation Damisa, meaning leopard in Hausa. A strike so swift, so brutal, it will end the cancer of corruption in Nigeria in a single night. Each officer was assigned a target. Nzeogwu will strike from Kaduna and eliminate the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello. In Lagos, Ifeajuna would take out the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa and Finance Minister Festus Okote Ebo. Others will handle regional premiers like Samuel Akintola in Ibadan, top generals like Mai Malari and Pam. And of course it was risky. Some officers backed out, others hesitated, but the plan moved forward as Nigeria descended deeper into chaos, riots, strikes, political standoffs. The plotters knew if we wait any longer, Nigeria might explode on its own or fall into the wrong hands. So the date was set. January 15th, 1966. Remember that date. 1 night, 5 cities, 0 second chances. It began in Kaduna. Major Nzeogwu and his men approached the residence of Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, Nigeria's most powerful northern leader. They stormed the compound, shot guards, detonated grenades at the entrance. The Sardauna was dragged from his prayer mat and gunned down in front of his wives. In Lagos, Major Ifeajuna, Nzeogwu's close ally, carried out his mission. He stormed the official residence of the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. But by this time, there was hesitation. Balewa was not killed on the spot. He was taken, held in the dark, silent and powerless. But Festus Kote Ebu was not so lucky. Known for wealth, luxury and suspected corruption, he was executed in cold blood. In Ibadan, Premier Samuel Akintola was at home reciting Quran verses when gunmen burst in. He pulled a pistol, fired back, but they returned fire, reading his whole body until blood turned the floor red. In total, over a dozen top officials were killed or captured that night, not just politicians but high-ranking army officers too. Brigadier Zakaria Maimalari, Lieutenant Colonel Abogo Lagema, Colonel Kor Mohammed shot without warning, some while in their sleep. By 7 a.m, the plotters seized the national radio station, then a chilling broadcast. Our enemies are the political profiteers, the swindlers, the men in highs and low places that seek bribes before doing their duty. The country was stunned. In one night, Nigeria had lost its leaders, but the plan wasn't over yet, because what came next wasn't unity, it was confusion and mistrust, and something no one has ever planned for, a second coup. By sunrise, Nigeria was in shock. Its leaders were gone. Soldiers were in control, but not all soldiers were on the same page. The plotters had miscalculated one thing, just one thing: unity. In Lagos, the commanding officer of the army, General Johnson Iguain Urosin, had not been killed. In fact, he had not even been touched. He wasn't part of the plot, but he was not the highest ranking officer left. Urosin took control quickly, ordering the army to restore order. And in that moment, the coup was fractured. From Kaduna, Nzeogwu expected the same swift execution of targets, but Lagos was a mess. Ifeajuna had hesitated. Urosin had stepped in. Some officers betrayed the plan. Others simply froze. Nzeogwu was furious. The coup was incomplete, and now the questions began. Was this an Igbo conspiracy? Why were only Northerners killed? Why were Azikiwe and Urosin not touched? In the north, the silence turned into suspicion. They didn't see a failed coup, they saw a targeted massacre. And now, an Igbo general had taken over the army. Within weeks, northern soldiers began to mutter, "They planned this, this was an Igbo coup." And then the stage was set for Nigeria's second and bloodier military coup.